What we're going to analyze in this video is the Apollo 14 flights, especially Edgar Mitchell, who has gone in the media and started to report about his sightings of UFOs, how he grew up on Roswell, how his grandfather was part of the ranchers there that had all the contacts with the other cattle stations, and obviously they related the UFO stories, and how it's kept classified, and I've threatened obviously not to talk. Let's zoom in on Google Moon, and we'll go to that area where they landed. And it's quite strange that if this is true, that this did happen obviously in Roswell, and in 1954 there was an agreement made with the aliens at Edwards Air Force Base. That they would share their technology. What we have here is extra vehicle activity of Apollo 14 flights. Now Edgar Mitchell mentions obviously his connections with Roswell, and it'll be quite unusual that if this is true, and yet all the theory points to this being true, that so the popular theories are mostly from William Cooper in his documentary The Hidden Truth on YouTube. He was part of naval intelligence. That was, I believe, his best documentary. Later on he became more anti-government and things like that, and unfortunately he was shot when he shot at a police that came to arrest him. Was written in the articles for taxation matters. So unfortunately, yeah, rest in peace William Cooper. And fortunately the policeman survived. Okay, this is a view from Station B1. According to his theories and other theories, in 1954, 12 UFOs landed at Edwards Air Force Base. They had an agreement with Eisenhower. The agreement was we needed their technology, they needed humans for experiments. We agreed. Bases were formed underground, especially at Dulce. And by the time the astronauts landed, it is believed the NSA had established bases on the far side of the moon. And I've documented about nearly 2,000 of these structures in my previous articles, previous YouTube articles on Google Moon images, and also the El Cross impact site where you'll see the very large towers there. And I've also compared the there he is, Edgar Mitchell. I've also compared the actual YouTube article Alex Collier, Moon and Mars, and compared landing sites there that look like serpents' heads with serpent head sites there that can be seen actually during the live NASA view of the impact site. And you'll see all these what do you call them, land bridges that Alex Collier focuses in. You'll see those in the official NASA video, and also the serpent head type landing spots. So that was very similar to those alien bases. Some strange things are obviously seen here. There's Edgar Mitchell. I don't know what that is in the foreground. It looks probably like something the astronauts could have actually left there. It's too close to be something alien. There's a shadow, it's lying on its side. It could be some sort of pack of food pack or whatever, but it's pretty far. Okay, this is where strange things happen. Obviously the astronauts all reported that they were followed by a UFO craft on their way to the moon, and that's, if that's true, that was probably the NSA base on the far side, making sure if anything happened they were closely observed. And also using alien technology, the whole episode on the moon was probably watched. And guess what we find here? We just zoom in, and what we have here is something looks like a remote alien video camera, keeping an eye on them, what they're doing, so in case anything happened they could be rescued. Obviously Nixon had a tape saying that they passed away, and there'll be further space efforts in case anything happened and they couldn't take off. But obviously they would have been saved and taken to the far side if this was real. And by all these images that I researched on the far side of all these tens of thousands of structures, which you can see, I don't think humans could have built those in 40 years. And also those huge towers near the South Pole at nearly 500 meters. That's the same height as the World Trade Center. Well, here we go. We've got something here that looks like a UFO. It's a small one. And also during World War II, pilots reported being followed by little balls of light, or they call them Foo Fighters. They thought it was a German device, but obviously the Germans weren't capable at that stage. The other rumour was obviously the Germans had their first treaty with the aliens, the Greys, and I assume if the Greys had to choose anyone on Earth at that stage before World War II, with the most advanced technology, that would be the Germans. Well, there it is, look. We got little things, two of these things sticking out from one side, which is a darker, it's obviously a sphere. On that side it's light, with a little black thing on the side there. And there it is. I don't think that's an artifact. I'm just comparing that with what we see here in the foreground. I think obviously Edgar Mitchell would have seen this thing here. I think it's part of a backpack or something's been discarded. But obviously if we go in the whole panorama photo, and that's obviously the sun, we should hope. Once we go in the whole photo and we go around, obviously it's always handy to just browse these photos, because I picked up other anomalies in the Apollo 16 landscape as well. There's a huge white tower and there was one red one next to it. So again, they either could have been something from the film set in Nevada, and the other theory that was done on a film set was on the real moon there's just too many artifacts and structures which they found, which they didn't want obviously the public to see that. So this is not that hard to pick up actually, because I've had plenty of experience picking up these artifacts. As we just zoom in at normal focus, we see this structure there. Well, we see this thing. Okay, we're onto something. There's no shadow. It seems to be floating there, and there it is. So that could have been a remote device to actually view their landing and if things went fine and things like that. And I'll now jump to his article in the newspaper where he mentions the last time they shared any information was with Kennedy, and the main rumor was Kennedy wanted to disclose this secret NSA alien deal and a base on the far side, and that was one reason as well that unfortunately, yeah, things happened to President Kennedy. This is the insider knowledge. He went on public radio and interview, and he's probably similar to Buzz Aldrin, but he talks a lot more obviously about, because he was close, he grew up in Roswell, and I'm just sort of asking, why would the aliens have to land right in the arms of the Americans there at Roswell? One rumor was a nuclear blast there. There was energy emitted, which they came to investigate, but then why wouldn't they investigate the explosions in Japan and also fly down close to Japan? Well, Japan didn't have the strong radars which the Americans had that aimed it at these UFOs. The rumor was that actually brought them down, and they just pumped up the juice high next time and brought down many others, according to William Cooper. Well, here he is, and this was given on radio, and then he goes on further interviews as well. Aliens exist during the Kerrang radio interview, and then obviously NASA wasn't happy. Now we must understand, if NASA is a branch of the NSA, and I think the NSA could stand for no such aliens, and NASA could stand for no alien sightings anywhere. So that's as we go down after his announcement, there was a court case brought against him that he had to return a camera. So obviously they weren't happy with him. So that was given him as a present. Obviously he survived the trip and things like that. So that's the whole article there. So is he there as an agent of diversion? Is he there to sort of place these theories across? Then they pretend they don't like him, and there's a court case where he has to return that camera. The court case was actually he stole that camera from NASA, or just because of what he believes, obviously, and things he's seen and all these other rumors, he just wants to go on public record. Obviously, by going on public record, you're scaring the population. I found during my research that I'll actually jump to his interview now. This is Edgar Mitchell attending a UFO conference.
Thank you very much for being here. My story. With regard to the disclosure process is very simple. I grew up in Roswell, New Mexico, the site of the first UFO crash, alleged UFO crash.
He just changes his
story is as a result
alleged UFO crash.
Senior in high school, just going into my senior year in 1947. When one day the Roswell Record announced that an alien craft had crashed, and the next day changed that story and said no, the Air Force said that was a weather balloon. Family was in the agri business. My grandfather was a cattle buyer, and so raised his own clothes to the ranchers in the area, knew everybody in the area, the Pecos Valley and beyond. Sold cattle into Arizona, western Texas, and was affectionately known as Bull Mitchell in those parts. And so it was not surprising to me later on that the lore of the area of our friends and the people in Roswell, including the sheriff's department, and a military friend of ours, a major who was also turned out to be a friend of Jesse Marcel, who was the first Air Force officer on site of the crash. And this Air Force officer was in administration. He was not really involved, but he eventually told me his story. That's how I became involved.
Okay, we'll now quickly zoom in. He was talking obviously about his view of UFOs. Now, if it's possible, the NSA at that agreement had their base on the far side. That was the remote camera that was keeping an eye on him. It was alien based. Let's go now to the far side very quickly, and we'll see all the structures. I've labeled about 2,000 of them. This is in the area Mare Moscoviense. That's they're all rods, about 180 meters wide, and this is all in my previous documentaries. Obviously, things were going on the far side, and that's why they landed on the side close to Earth, where these structures weren't there. And again, we have to question the actual plan to detonate a nuclear device on the moon in 58. Was this actually to bomb the far side in case things got out of hand and they couldn't control the alien base on the far side? This is one of my favorites. I've labeled that 99. So there's tens of thousands of these structures on the far side. It's very green, assuming vegetation. And these all can be seen in my previous documentaries. These structures are very luminous as well, rod-like structures.